So today we're going to be talking about function applications. So this is all going to be things that you're always asking me, when are we going to use this in real life, or how does this relate to real life? These are those examples. Okay, so let's look at the first one. It says the quantity of gasoline consumed in the US is a function of the price per gallon. So we have our price down here, and we have our quantity, so how much gas we're going to be buying. So we want to know, does this curve appear to have a positive slope or a negative slope? So we can think about that pretty much exactly how it sounds. So a positive slope is going to be going from the left to the right. It will be going upwards. And a negative slope from the left to the right will be going downward. So which of those pictures that I just drew does our diagram look like? The negative slope. So this diagram has a negative slope. And why do you think that this is the case? So we want to think about this in terms of this example. So gasoline being consumed in the US. Why do we think that it is negative? Well, it's negative because the more money that gas is, the less people are going to use it. So instead of driving, they might take a bus, a train, they might take a bus, a train, their bike, something that they will not have to put gas in themselves. Okay, next one. It says the distance from the starting line of a runner in the 100-meter dash is a function of the time since the start. So we're starting here, and we're going to run for, I guess what says 11 seconds, and hopefully get to that 100-meter mark. So why does this curve slope more steeply upward as time increases? Why do we think that is? So when you start running, are you at your full speed? No. When you start running, it takes time. It takes time for you to reach your full speed. So that's why we move slowly upwards until eventually we reach that 100-meter and we reach our full speed. So let's talk about our domain of this function. So our domain is going to be, remember, our x, our left to right. So we start at 0 and we go until 11 seconds. And then our range here, we're looking on our y. And we start at 0. And we go all the way up to that 100-meter mark. Okay, let's look at the next one. So for this example, it says the height above ground of a cannonball shot from a cannon is a function of the time since it was shot. So we're shooting a cannonball from the cannon for however long. We don't know how long. We don't know how high it's going. But it is a function, and then it does crash to the ground here. So we want to know when time equals 0, so around here somewhere, why is the height of the cannonball not equal to 0? So why isn't the cannonball starting down here? Well, that's because the cannonball has to be lifted up and then placed into the cannon, right? When you shoot a cannonball, it's not on the ground, it's inside that cannon. So that's why it's not at 0 on the ground. Okay? And then if I wanted to describe the domain and range, the domain is, right, our x here. So it will be how much time it takes the cannon to be launched and hit the ground. And right here. Okay? And then my range, right, we're going up and down. I'll write it up here. Is how high the cannonball goes. Okay? I think we got one more. Okay. So now we have the profit from a restaurant is a function of the number of meals that are served. So we have here our number of meals, and then we have our profit over here. So at this point, our profit is 0. So you're making no money. So why does this range, so we're looking here, right, range, include negative values? So it's talking about all of these values down here. How can that be negative? Well, it's negative because if you were to open a restaurant, before you can start making money and selling meals, you have to buy all of that food first. So you have to take out your own money before you can start making money. So you start out pretty much in the negative. So you start out with negative money. So you have to buy those supplies to sell the meals. Okay. And then we want to know, what is the significance of the point where the graph crosses the horizontal axis? So that is right here. Okay, so our graph, we start out with no money. Slowly, we get less and less negative, and then we reach this point. So when we reach this point, that means that our profit is equal to 0, right? The amount of meals that we're selling and the amount of money that we're spending are equal. Money that we're spending and making are equal. All right, so that is our first lesson on applying functions.